नमस्कार, हांव महानंदा पागी. अनुवाद कुशळटायेचे राष्ट्रीय स्तरावयले हे व्याख्यानमाळेंत तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार दिता. गोंय सरकाराच्या राजभाशा संचालनालयान राष्ट्रीय अनुवाद मिशन, केंद्रीय भाशा संस्थान, मैसूर हांच्या जोड पावलान ही व्याख्यानमाळा आयोजीत केल्या. आमी हे व्याख्यानमाळेंत अणकारा संदर्भातल्या सगळ्या आयामां विशीं खोलायेन जाणून घेतली. 8 वेगवेगळ्या विशया खातीर आमकां राष्ट्रीय अनुवाद मिशनाचे तज्ञ मार्गदर्शक म्हणून लागले. आयज हे व्याख्यानमाळेचो दुसरो दीस. आयज नॅशनल ट्रान्सलेशन मिशन, केंद्रीय भाशा संस्थान, मैसूर हांगच्यो चीफ रिसोर्स पर्सन डॉ. गीता कुमारी वी हांचे ट्रान्सलेशन स्ट्रॅटजीज म्हटल्यार अणकाराची वेगवेगळी कार्यनिती ह्या विशयाचेर व्याख्यान जावपाचें आसा. व्याख्यानाचें स्वरूप अशें आसतलें. डॉ. गीता कुमारी व्ही हांचें व्याख्यान वरभराचें आसतलें. व्याख्यानाच्या विशया संदर्भात कांय प्रस्न आसल्यार तुमी ते कॉमेंट्सांत घालूंक शकता. व्याख्यान सोंपल्या उपरांत तुमच्या प्रस्नाची जाप मार्गदर्शक दितले. आतां हांव राजभाशा संचालक प्रसन्न आचार्य हांकां विनंती करतां तांणी प्रस्तावीक आनी येवकाराचें उलोवप करचें.
नमस्कार, तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. The Directorate of Official Language is established for development and implementation of official language in the state of Goa. The core competency of the department includes imparting training of basic knowledge of Konkani language, so also assisting various departments of state and central government in translation of various documents including acts, rules, schemes, citizens' charters, etc. The department has also taken the initiative of coining of scientific and technical terms in Konkani language in collaboration with Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, New Delhi. Some of these are already published and others are at final printing stage. The department publishes research-oriented books. This department has also taken lectures on basic Konkani language and language orthography. This department is in the process of preparing a basic learner's course in Konkani language and printing it in book form. Since translation work has tremendous potential in the era of social networking and artificial intelligence, it was felt necessary to collaborate with National Translation Mission, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysuru, and conduct lecture series as a part of promotion of translation culture and emerging translation industry among the budding translators as well as amateur and professional translators. The lecture series aims to create awareness about translation, develop skills of translation, above all, improve quality of the translation by facilitating the translators to find key to the minds of the author of the material which is translated, retaining the soul of the original work in the body of the translation undertaken by the translators. I am optimistic that this lecture series will benefit the budding translators and will be a turning point in creation of the translation industry. Thank you.
देव बरें करूं सर. आतां हांव मागता राजभाशा संचालनालयाचे UDC पॅट्रिक डिसोजा हांचे कडेन की तांणी मार्गदर्शक डॉ. गीता कुमारी वी हांच्या वावरा विशीं वळख करून दिवची.
Hello. Welcome to all of you. Dr. Geetha Kumary V is the Chief Resource Person in the National Translation Mission Project, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysuru. She is having PhD in Linguistics from University of Kerala. She has been working in NTM for the last 13 years. She is one of the assistant editors of Translation Today journal. She coordinates the translation and publication work of the NTM titles into Malayalam language. She has several published books and editorials to her name. She is one of the editors of the CIIL Longman English Malayalam Dictionary. She has delivered lectures on knowledge text and translation, linguistics, and language teaching. Today she will be delivering lecture on the topic translation strategies. I am sure that the lecture shall be beneficial to all the aspiring as well as professional translators. Thank you.
देव बरें करूं सर. व्याख्यानमाळेच्या पहिल्या दिसा भाषांतर ह्या विशयाची वळख आणि ताच्या सखोल अभ्यासाविशीं जाणून घेतल्या उपरांत आयज आमी भाषांतरांत वापरपाच्या वेगवेगळ्या कार्यनिती जाणून घेवया. Today, Dr. Geetha Kumary will enlighten us on topic translation strategies. With a warm welcome, I request Dr. Geetha Kumary to guide us on this topic.
Thank you so much for your nice introduction. I am happy to share my views with the topic translation strategies. I think I am audible and visible, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So, actually, before going to the topic, I would like to share certain things regarding translation. Then we will go to translation strategies. Okay. What I want to tell you is, actually, when we are telling about strategy we will apply in every walk of life. You can see whatever we are doing, there is a strategy. So you will see that strategy in all walks of our life. For example, if I am telling translation, you can divide into three parts. That means there is literary translation, and I would like to tell you non-literary translation. So non-literary translation, in that you will get technical translation, and then knowledge text translation, which NTM is dealing with. So in that, how we will divide the strategy? Strategy, as the word says in the PowerPoint, you can see the first PowerPoint, which is saying that I will show you. Yeah, it is the dictionary meaning of strategy. So strategy is a detailed plan for achieving success in situations such as, war, politics, business, industry, or sport, or the skill of planning for such skills. So there is a detailed plan. That's why I told, when we are doing any work, there should be a detailed plan for achieving the goal. Here, success is our goal, what we need. So in a literal translation, you see, there will be a source text and goal will be the target text. So if the situation is like that, even in a monolingual context, articulating one's own thought is very difficult, because articulating your thought, what you are thinking, sometimes we cannot express everything, isn't it? What we will be writing, that will be a gist of our thinking. We will be writing a gist of our thinking. That's what. So in a monolingual situation, if you get a novel is different. You can have imagination on novels, short story, so that type of literature. So we can tell it is literature. You can apply more imagination. So when you are applying imagination, the author is applying, or author is writing on his imagination. But the source text is full of imagination of the author, and when you will read, but what you will, or the reader, leave the reader, the translator, what he will think or she will think about the text. I am telling only about literature. Okay. So when you will read, you will interpret in the sense, your imagination will be in another time, another frame. Okay. The author will be thinking in what we will tell, on his own experience, or on his own views. What is there, he will write certain things, and certain things will be remaining in his mind. So that's a psychological barrier or psychological restriction, I can tell, or there will be a loss in that within your imagination and coming out as a translation, coming out as a original writing. Okay, so there will be a gap. There will be a gap, but you will get a text with his thought. So you got a novel. So someone is asking you to translate into another language. There we can see in each language that will articulation of the word. When each language articulate the word, each will articulate in different manner. That means even a single scenery, when you will write, there will be different versions. Same thing, people will see it differently. So when you will translate that one, there are some restrictions. Restriction means your experience in seeing certain place. So what I would like to tell you here is, if you didn't see the original sea, so in Kerala there are a lot of seas. What I experienced is, when Assamese trainees came here, when we took them to the training program, when they saw the sea, how they what was their emotion. So they were seeing sea first time. So they might have read about sea previously, but when they will visualize it, how they will feel. That's what I. So visualizing, sometimes visualizing will stop further imagination. You are visualizing certain things, so the imagination can stop. Without seeing a sea or deep forest, how you will translate a thing dealing with such things? That is my question. So you should follow certain strategy in that. And about faithful translation and such things, you will come across when you will go to translation, you may be seeing faithful translation and literal translation like that. I am not going to that, but how to reach on that, what strategy you will use in this, and how you will tell it is a faithful translation. For saying a thing as faithful translation, you should have a knowledge of source text, and not only the knowledge of language, you should know about the culture which is entirely different in each place. That, so in that way, we will have to face certain hurdles. So the hurdles which you are facing, how you will overcome, that is the strategy. So when you will do certain thing in normal life, when you are walking, you will see a stone. So different people will approach different strategy to remove the stone. You may sometimes you will cross it and go. Some other person may remove it from the path and go. So this is the strategy. So how you are, if you are removing, will you replace with something? If it is necessary, a hump is there, you should replace it with something. But here, when you remove it, it will go. So in strategy, we will come across with such terms where you will remove certain things or you replace it with certain other things. This is a normal life situation when you will face a problem. So strategies mainly deals with problems. Problems in the sense, problem which you may be knowing the idea. Okay, you may be knowing the idea, but it is very difficult to express it in your language because of the lack of terminology or the cultural gap or something like that. So that is one thing. So literature, this problem will come. So you can um, read a literature and you can create a poetry out of that. We won't tell it as a translation because you are changing. You are getting the idea from the literature, and so you can see Ramayana. You will get different versions of Ramayana, Mahabharata. So you will get the whole text. You can get so many stories, biblical stories, or any story, because you can get in schools Quran from Quran. So you will get Nabi story in school textbook. It will be there. So they are not taking that. It is an extract. When you are extracting, there are some procedures. The procedure oriented procedure is different from strategy. So in this way, you will be coming to a smaller form of that one. There, what strategy you will use, whether you will use very difficult terms there. That also you will have to see the guidelines. Guidelines will be there for each translation. You will be getting certain guidelines. Uh, what you need, what is the product that is product oriented, you can say. So what product it is expected. So when you will get a text, when you will get the source text for translation, you will have to see the guidelines. What are the guidelines they are? So these are the things you should keep in mind before going for the translation. So poetry translation, what is the when you will translate a poetry piece to another language, what will be the problem? Because in poetry, the form will be the rhyming terms. Rhyming terms, it will be difficult to bring out in our language. So poetry, why people are telling poetry will lost in translation? Because of the rhyming nature of that one. So what strategy you are using? You may get very, very, what you will tell me, very melodious songs or very rhyming terms in. What I found is from Ramayana, from Sanskrit to Malayalam, when they translated, it was very rhyming, and it covered all the terms expressed in the source text. So what strategy he might have used? That means he is so well versed with the language and culture, so that you can bring some nearity, proximity for that. So that is possible. That is in poetry. But when you go to technical translation, where I want to divide it in scientific translation and technical translation. Okay, scientific translation, why I am telling is, in scientific translation, you will get knowledge text which we are dealing with. In National Translation Mission, we will be translating knowledge text. Knowledge texts are those texts prescribed in universities. Okay, so as a reference book. So we wanted to bring the original text into all the 22 languages. So when we are trying to translate that one, can we add imagination in that? It is impossible, because when we will add imagination, we are deviating from the original. Here we will have to bring out the exact thing in the from the original to the Indian language, or to the target language. The source language, we cannot deviate from the theme of that. So content should be exactly translated into our language. Here the main thing is, for translating, we will think that, okay, this is easy. One paragraph we will take and we will think, okay, we can translate. You will get all the ideas in that. But when you will bring it into your language, there, first problem which we will face is terminology. When I am telling about these things, in my mind, Malayalam is there, okay? So you should excuse for that. You should think about your language, whether you are getting, because a physics text, in the introduction also it was told, you are bringing out text for school level thing. So when you are bringing out a physics text, when you are going to bring out, the main problem which Malayalam language is facing, we have glossary, but the translators will be telling, okay, can you provide a updated glossary for that? But the terms are available in the glossary, which is already present, already available in market. But the thing is, it is not updated. So they wanted to create new terms. For that one. So first thing is, they want equivalent. If equivalent terms are there in our language, and our language is, so we can tell it is rich language with updation, then it will be easy for us to bring out the text quickly. For Malayalam, I will say it is very difficult. We are facing difficulties. So what we used to do is, we will have to make terminology, text-based terminologies, and we should provide the translated terminology, so that it will give as a, you see, in we are giving guideline. Along with that, this is a supporting material, so that they can do the translation. So this is as a supporting material which will minimize their trouble in translating. So this is what literature imagination is more, and but in scientific text fact is more. So we will have to keep the, or we will have to bring the real fact what is there in the scientific text to other. In another division which I am telling is technical translation. In technical translation, you will get a pamphlet, okay, pamphlet of any manuals, okay. So in pamphlet, or here along with the, what we will tell, along with the machine, you will get a user manual. So how to translate that one? Here the thing is, you will have to go for a technical translation, in the sense sometimes there will be instruction, you don't want to translate such things because the instruction will be like that. It will be like that. You will have to keep the technical terminology as such. In that case, what will happen? You will get the word-to-word translation type. There also you cannot deviate from the content of that, but you can take borrowing, that we will come across. Borrow the term from that English text, you can retain. Okay, such type. So here, why I told about such thing is, from this we will go to the word meaning and next steps for translation. So now we will come to the word meaning again, because these are the introductory things which we can think before coming to the strategy. Once again we will tell, it is not that this is the final strategy. When you will do translation, it is through practice you can develop strategy. It is not a theory. You should have theoretical background, but when you will do translation, you will face problem. For solving that one, what strategy you will use. Okay, so here the word meaning from the dictionary I have taken. It is a detailed plan for achieving success in situations. So here success goal is TT, that translated text. That's what source text and translation text. And second meaning was an elaborate systematic plan of action. So it is a systematic plan of action. Why it is systematic? Because a systematic plan of action in translation also, it is a systematic plan of action, because each text there will be a guideline. With that system you should move ahead, isn't it? So I again took from different languages. Hindi I have seen for the word strategy, Upay, Karyaniti and Rananiti. So I am not sure whether we can replace strategy with any of this one. That you should tell. In Konkani language, when I gave that word, meaning was Yukta was there, then Mantani, I think, Renaniti, Karyaniti. Okay. Then Tamil it was Mulopayam. Kannada it was Tantra. Malayalam also it is Tantram. Malayalam, the word Tantram again. So see the term. Here itself, for strategy, for getting a correct equivalent for strategy, I am not happy in Malayalam translation of Tantram, because Tantram, there is some, you will find in Tantram there is some negative thing, or you are thinking some cunning way, isn't it? I think in your language it may be Renaniti and Karyaniti I can understand, because it is Sanskrit. So Renaniti we can in Malayalam also, because Yuddha Tantra means in strategy we will always think about war and war strategy. So even for the small thing, strategy, we are unable to find an equivalent. So here you are facing a problem. So what strategy you will use? Well, translating strategy. That's what. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Next slide. Wait 1 minute. Next. So now we will come to the evolution, how the word came into existence, or what are the thoughts came with the experts. So these people might have done their translation, and from that they might have come into the conclusion, or by contrastive analysis of two texts you can find out what criteria or what strategies they are using in translation. So here in the first 1958, Vinay and Darvelnet, they introduced the concept of translation procedure. So, okay, this is translation procedure. This procedure, this is all those mechanisms that are involved when working and changing between two different languages. So these are the mechanisms. So there it is a hidden strategy is hidden here. We didn't at that time 1958 just the thought of that translation procedure in the sense of translation strategy. Vinay and Darvelnet introduced the term translation procedure as the mechanism that involved when we are working and changing between two different languages, source language and target language. Now we will see who are the other persons worked on that. Okay, so in between some slide was there. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Newmark in 1980. In between also. 1 minute. So back slide. So here you can see in the last line where I mentioned this 1968 and 77, Malblanc and what is that BAZ QUS. So that these people are all they also tried follow the same path with the term translation procedure. Now we will come to the next slide. Newmark in 1988, he distinguished actually two concepts. Here actually only concepts came, translation method and translation procedure. So he changed something from translation procedure and gave a term translation methods to refer to those strategies applied to the whole text. And translation procedure, he is telling, refer to those applied to specific elements within the text. So here he introduced the concept of translation method to refer all the techniques that we can tell as strategies. So during the process, what strategies people are using or translators are using. So here 1988 Newmark started introducing that one, we can think. So in 1986, the Krings defined strategy as translators' potentially conscious plans for solving concrete translation problems in the framework of concrete translation task. Here we can see it is translators' potentiality. So translators' potentiality and conscious plan. It is not unconsciously translators are doing that. What you will applying the strategy. It is a conscious plan to solve the concrete translation problems. So here, when we will do translation, what we will have to do is we will have to write down the points where we are facing problems, so that we can find out what type of problems we are facing and how we solved. Unknowingly, we will do the solution also. When you are doing translation, you won't go and read the text, what method I should apply, but automatically we will face the problem and we will solve it in some way, but we should keep a note about it, and then we will have to think about it, what method we used. Okay, so here Krings in 1988 defined translation strategy as potentially conscious plans for solving concrete translation problems. Okay. In next 1991, conscious procedure for solving a problem a translator is faced with when translating a text. So it is here you can see everywhere the term conscious. So it is not unconsciously happening. It is a conscious plan for procedure for solving them. Then Chinnagunot in 1991. Here also conscious, and he is telling it sometimes unconscious. I think you will feel it consciously. You will feel the problem, and when you are facing it and you are solving it, you will use unconscious procedures to solve the problem. That may be the reason he used conscious and unconscious procedures involved during the translation. So these are the definitions which we can give for the term. Okay. Now, Venuti in 1998, he is defining translation strategy as basic task of choosing the foreign text. So translation strategy is basic task of choosing the foreign text to be translated and developing a method to translate it. So here, concepts of domestication and foreignization. I think you may come across with the term domestication and foreignization. Here, domestication means you think about source text and target text. In target text, if you want to domesticate the target text, you are concentrating on the target reader. So you will change the terms and you will localize the term which are present in the source text and change it into the target text, domesticate it. You will be localizing the text. That is more of target text oriented. If you are concentrating on the source text, you will foreignize the translation. So what you will do, you will keep the concepts mentioned in the source text in the target text and you will be doing the translation. So these two, domestication and foreignization, two concepts Venuti introduced in 1998. Now, Jaskelainen, she is telling it is a series of competencies. So for facing or for solving a problem, you need competence, isn't it? So how much you are aware of the source text or how much you know about what is the depth of your source language. So that and target language also equally you should know both. While translating that is understood, you should know the source language very well and target language also very well. Otherwise, the translation won't be very accurate. We can say it won't be very accurate. And for knowledge text, one more thing we need a person who is a discipline expert. So you cannot give a history text or physics text to a person who is translating from English to Malayalam novels and all. Few people you may get some professors who are doing that, but it will be very difficult for us to find out experts from each language who knows the discipline, the language, both the language. Okay. People may be well versed with English in that case, but sometimes they cannot express it in other language, Indian language, because they will tell there is no terminology. So it will be very difficult. So this is the thing. So there is a series of competencies and a set of steps or processes that favor the acquisition, storage, and utilization of information. So how we will make it step-by-step processes. So while doing that one, how we will go through it, I will explain it with examples which if we came across with the translation which we have done here. Okay, then we can tell the strategies are heuristic. Why we are telling? Because we cannot. Every translator is a learner, so he will learn more problems when he will come across with each. So we cannot tell that this much only will come. So every day or every translator will face different problems. So it is a heuristic, we can tell, and flexible in nature. So strategies are flexible. So the strategies also, when you will face a problem, the way you will solve it will differ. So in that way, we can tell it is flexible in nature, and adoption implies a decision influenced by amendments in the translator's objectives. So you can amend your decision, and that's what now there you cannot get a final translation of anything, I think, because when you do a translation of small paragraph, just try it. If you never did any translation, you just take a small paragraph, do the translation, then you write down the strategies, strategies or problems just you write and how you faced. Then you can see next you will think, okay, I could have write it in different manner, or I could have improved, or I could have changed. So in that way we will amend our decisions every time. So this is the translation. You cannot tell as an end product. You cannot take an end product which is finely tuned. Like that is, I'm thinking, and I think it is true too. Next slide. So here you see, translation strategies are steps taken to solve a translation problem, which has been consciously detected and resulting in a consciously applied solution. So here what is that? We are solving a translation problem which has been consciously detected and resulting. So here we are facing a problem, and consciously detected means we are doing the translation, and there are some other things. You may get a guideline for translating certain things where sometimes you will get more freedom. So you can, if it is told that you will have to keep the or English term as such, or any target text term as such, then I think there is not much problem. You will have to bring that one. Otherwise, you will have to think whether I will have to nativize it or I will have to borrow it. In that way, if already borrowed, you can take as such. Otherwise, you will have to consciously apply solution. You will have to find some solution. That is what Scott and Tennant in 2000 wrote about strategy. Now, I think, yeah, here there is a defining characteristics of translation strategy. It is goal oriented. So goal oriented in the sense there is a goal in our mind, isn't it? When we are starting translation, we have a goal to bring out the text, bring out the target text from the source language to target language. So there is a target, goal oriented and problem centered. Because strategy, when we are seeing, we will have to apply strategy when you are facing problem. When we are facing problem, you are automatically, unknowingly applying the solution if there is no guideline given. And then it requires making coordinated decisions. That means coordinated decision means when you cannot always coin a new word for everything. That is what happening. I will tell about Malayalam, that people will tell this Sanskrit word is not good. So they will change it into difficult Malayalam terms. And that time maybe one person used once, and it will be very difficult. We cannot use it further. So it should be a coordinated decision, not a single man's. That's what, because if for practical purpose, it is better group of people take the decision when doing some important text or scientific text to bring out a permanent solution. And you can, okay, so this is what we will, and it is conscious and involves text manipulation. We are manipulating the source text to bring out the target text. Okay. Yeah. Here we can, here I will tell you about some examples from our own experience. So in NTM, we have done a translation bilingual dictionary of Longman bilingual dictionary in all the languages. So we brought out few volumes too. In that, we will have to do the translation of each a dictionary. You know, in every place we will have to give the equivalent in each place. For that, I will show you some other slide with 1 minute. The other slide. 1 minute. I will show you the file where the English terms are used and how we will have to translate. This is a term, but even you will take it grammatical item, how we will come into the conclusion of that. 1 minute, I will show you how it is. So there no each four the term or you can the grammatical category 4. We will have to give this many meanings. Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, you see here, you can, I think in the screen which I shared, you can see 4. You see how many meaning shades are there. There are 11 shades of meaning. So each, we will have to translate each item into our Indian language or our that target language. We will have to bring it out into target language. So you can see how difficult it is, because to bring out you can translate, she goes to school for girls. So for here it is used as a preposition. In our language, the prepositions won't be there. So we will have to mark it in such a way that it will be a suffix. It will be a suffix. So for that, a person who will read, see here the grammatical changes are happening. Grammatical changes for will be replaced with a dative case marker. So we will have to bring out like that. These are the strategies which we will use. But for a bilingual dictionary, how to bring out the meaning? So how to bring out the meaning? We will have to give only meaning, but we cannot show the term as such. We will have to highlight. That's why in the dictionary we will have to highlight the suffix and say that this is the translation of for these 8 categories. We will have to do like that. This is automatically happening, but when we will do a bilingual dictionary, then only we will know, oh, this type of problems are also. Otherwise, it is a natural process. But when you want to express it in the text, it will be difficult. So this is a language specific thing, because Indian languages, especially this Malayalam, we have dative case markers instead of prepositions. And agglutinative nature of this one will make, because we are writing everything in join, isn't it? Jointly we will write. We will go back to the slide. Okay, so now the problem which I showed here, this is non-equivalence at word level. Same from the dictionary only. There was a sentence saying that shampoo the hair. So shampoo the hair in Malayalam, I cannot tell shampoo the hair in Malayalam. For that, I will have to give wash the hair, because we are washing our hair. So Malayalam term, if the translation of Malayalam, when you will back translate, it will give the meaning wash the hair, not shampoo the hair. So if you want to show shampoo hair, it will be very artificial in our language. So target language has no direct equivalent for a word which occurs in the source text. In the source text, it is used to shampoo the hair, but we don't have an equivalent for that expression. Same thing, orbits around sun. Orbits around sun, we will tell the revolves, because you back translate the translation of our language, you will get revolves. Orbits is the particular term which is there in English. So back translation, because many technical the technical translators, or I think from many companies, when they will send translation, they will be seeing word-to-word translation. Sometimes it is impossible to give word-to-word translation, or if you are giving, you will feel it as very unnatural. You won't feel very comfortable with that sentence or what that expression. We will have to adjust, because they are telling you should keep, we should keep like that. That's all. We will go for some other example. So here about the shampoo thing, the use of general word to overcome a relative lack of specificity in the target language compared to the source language. So in the source language, there is a specific term. Even the reverse can happen. In Indian language, a specific term may be there. It will be difficult to bring out in English language. That also is there. But here we will have to, shampooing can seen as a type of washing, since it is more restricted in use. So you can wash lots of things, isn't it? Shampoo, you will do only hair. So that is how in English it is restricted. But we don't have a specific term for that, we will be giving a general thing for that. General means another term which in back translation it won't give the term. Okay, now some other example we will take 1 minute. Okay, so here is see, sometimes we will have to do the translation by more neutral or less expressive word. You can see in English it is archaic mysticism. This archaic term, archaic, you go to the dictionary, you will get some meaning, means it is a deep meaning. But in our language, when we will do, we will have to give an equivalent which is similar like ancient. So archaic and same way antique. Antique piece, it is an antique piece. How you will, we will have to be, it is an ancient and expensive thing. Because there is no specific term like antique which is there in our language. So we will have to give a more neutral or less expressive. Same way, draught, that is air blowing into a room. There is a particular term in English, draught. But while translating, we will have to give it as flow of cold air, because in Malayalam we don't have any particular term for draught. So there was a cold draught under door was the sentence. I will have to write in Malayalam, this cold flow of cold air only. So this is how we are, these are the problems we are facing and how we solved. This is from practical experience. We wrote certain, while doing the dictionary, what we faced, we are sharing. Okay. Okay. Now, yeah. Cultural substitution. So here you can see culture specific terms. That is so many terms. The main thing when you will do a literary translation. Yeah, literature you can take. Literary translation. The culture of the language. That means source text language. We will have to bring out into target language. Here the problem is whether you are domesticating or foreignizing, that you can decide. Because if the commission which assigned you the translation is saying that you will have to be more source target text reader oriented, then you will have to bring everything in. That is, you will have to domesticate. So here the problem is domestication. While you domesticate, you are deviating from the source text. So what I will think is, if you want to bring out the source writer or the original writer you want to bring into target language, you will have to foreignize, and you should understand the cultural specificity of that language. So that through foreignization you can bring it out. But if you want to be more oriented to the target language speaker, then you will have to domesticate it. Domestication, if I will tell you domestication, how we can do is, if you are food items, if you are taking food item, I think that terms will come later. But now I will tell some food item, you will be telling that similar to that, which is if dosha you are taking. An English learner, I wanted to introduce, I will tell this is pancake, you can tell pancake, but you can see that one, then that will be different, but it is similar to that. Or in Kerala, that food item puttu is there. So puttu, when I will tell, it is rice cake. It is like, it is rice cake, but it may be different. It may be the strategy used for preparing puttu may be different when I will tell that this is rice cake. Okay, so the main advantage of using the strategy of cultural substitution. If you are substituting, means you are substitute. If you have a term, correct term in your language, you can substitute. If you are substituting, it will be reader concept, the identity, they are familiar to that. That means when you are domesticating or you have the term for that, then the reader will be very much but he will feel or she will feel very much appealing because they can understand. But to bring out the foreign text essence to the target readers, we will have to, sometimes we will have to explain it so that they will understand what is that. Okay, next. So here, taking a, if I want to take a decision on translation, how I will, whether I will domesticate or foreignize the thing, or for example, I am telling, or how you are going to translate that one. How much license is given to the translator by those who commission the translation. So this is the guideline. I will tell guideline. You will be seeing certain things. So many what you will tell, there will be so sale will be there, open sale, but at last it will be conditions applied, isn't it? Condition applied means it will be restricting everything. Like that, you will be getting the text and people are asking you to translate it, but what guideline or how much license is given to you by the commission authority to translate? Then the purpose of translation. So first one is that's what I'm thinking. That company they will give material for translating. That will be more about technical things, technical machine oriented operation of machines and those things. There you cannot translate anything. You will have to borrow the terms, and they will also tell that okay, keep the English terms as it, so that it won't be confusing. So you will have to make a long blend. Long blend. You will take the term, add the case suffix or anything from your language, so that it will become partially your language, or you will, that term will get your language essence. So that is one way. If the commissioned authority is saying like that, you should. If they are telling no, you should be more target reader oriented, then you will have to do more domestication. Okay, this is the thing, and then purpose of, that's it, purpose of translation. To whom you are. Previously, when I told about the translation division, I was telling technical translation. The purpose of, I want to show you a pamphlet. I will show you that. The pamphlet from the speech and hearing center here, they sent few pamphlet to translate into a language. There you see the pamphlets, they told it is for the it is for the local people from the what you will tell, they are not very literate, they are not very learned people. Okay, but they are not very learned people, so we will have to reach the people so that the language should be very simple. And pamphlet, the other thing is pamphlet should be more attractive. I will show the English pamphlet, then I think you will get an idea what usually what problems can occur by translating this one. 1 minute, I will show the time. I on this one. There we will go to one pamphlet. One pamphlet I will share. So yeah, I think 1 minute we will share it. So if the pamphlets, you can imagine there will be pamphlets, there will be pictures. Yeah, you can, I think now you can see that the pictures in columns it is written. So literature is also there, but we want, title is not there, no? It is related to autism. Okay, autism, we know that it is related to science, but perfectly it is science. What are the features of autism is the title. So we will have to bring this pamphlet to the common people. To the common people we should bring. So how to translate it? Even the term autism again, if you have a very correct equivalent, it's okay. You can see the sentence, try to translate, then you will face problems and how you are going to solve it. So this is one. Here the restriction is, it is meant to the people who are not very educated. Okay, so they will have to understand, they will have to understand about the disease. So they will have to know the know about the disease. So we will have to use such a language which will be very attractive in the sense, here you can use little imagination without deviating from the content. It is possible now to imagine little imagination in science and all, science fiction and all, you will get imaginative scientific stories like that. Here it should be very attractive. Okay, now we will go to the main slides. So here what strategies we will have to use. Again, I am telling we will have to write down the strategies if new strategies are coming. So here, purpose of translation. So purpose of translation in this pamphlet, it is to the common man to understand about the simple diseases so that they will be getting the awareness. Then third point is translators' own judgment of desirability of that is obscuring and cultural specificity. So this is a translators can, here in the third point, translators can take their own decision and they can stick on that. No, this we can use. If you are telling this to keep this one, but this is very common, so I can replace it with this one. So this is the stand of translator, his own judgment of the desirability. Okay. So here, for example, localizing name of characters, food items, etc. See, here the individual level of translator's decision in use of strategy will be depending on this many things. But here, localizing name of characters, you can see if some foreign name you want to change into your language common name, then you can do it. You will have to localize the name instead of some difficult name from foreign, you want to change into simple name of your language, you can do. Food items also, that's what I told. If you put to, you are changing it into rice cake or similar to that or something like that, which is similar in your language, that localizing the name of the characters and food items is possible. So this is how a pamphlet way I told is there are so many pamphlets regarding it is, you should know science then. Because if the terms are very common in your language for scientific disease and all, if the terms are there, then you can change it with the term which is available in your language. So we will go to the next slide where I mentioned this one, translation of a long word with a related word, using a related word. This is how we explained the last slide. These strategies tend to be used when the concept expressed in the source item is lexicalized in the target language, but it is in a different form. So here you see, terraced garden was a term in English. The second term which I am giving here is the Malayalam translation I have given and back translated. Okay. So here, terraced garden, instead of that in Malayalam, I have given gardens created in the terrace. I cannot create a terraced garden. Created in the garden. When you back translate, you won't get a single term as terraced garden. Same way, alfresco. It is a big term, and we will have to, alfresco is eating in the open air. So they have a special term. It may be culturally related to. So here we will have to translate. Alfresco is very difficult. When you bring a term into your language, I think we will have to think about certain criteria. If there are many clusters in that, on difficult clusters, it will be difficult to bring into our language, or you will have to blend it, or you will have to adapt it in your language. Here, alfresco, it is alfresco. In Malayalam, it is very difficult to write, I think in every language. So we will change it to, instead of taking the word into our language, we will change it in the open. So instead of that, especially with reference to eating in the open, so we will tell eating in the open. Right? Then frequency with which a certain form is used in the source language is significantly higher than would be natural in the target. That's what, when we are using the term terraced garden itself, that won't go with our language. Or if you are comfortable with the term terraced garden, you can translate it in your language. This is okay. This is again and again I am telling, this is with the Malayalam I am telling what I have given. And if you have, but these are the general problems which we are facing. So this is paraphrase. What we are doing, we are explaining the single term with explanation. And in our language, it will not be a single term, it will be an explanation. Now we will go to another example. Yeah, we will tell about paraphrase once again. The main advantage, there is an advantage in paraphrase, because when you will explain that one, it achieves high level of perception. Yeah, you will, instead of I tell al fresco, I am telling eating in the open air. People may not get the term al fresco there, but they will understand what is meant there. So instead of bringing it into your language, if you are explaining, a high level of precision will be there. So that reader will be very happy with, happy means they will understand. Then disadvantage is, it does not have the status of lexical item. A single lexical item, al fresco is a small, short, cute lexical item, but when we will explain it, that will not be coming in. That's a disadvantage we can tell. So we will go to the other slide. Yeah, we can. Yeah, this is what we can omit certain items. So when you will translate a big stream of sentence, then you have the liberty, if you don't want to repeat. Here you see, mountain home is rich in plant life and gave us many of the trees, shrubs. So here, rich in plant life, it is given. So rich in plant life, in our mind it will come, whether there will be trees rich in plant life. We will think, okay, there will be trees and there will be shrubs, everything. So for this big sentence, we can rewrite or we can translate that one. Mountain home have rich varieties of plants. There is no meaning loss. The target reader will be getting the same meaning which the source language writer is expected, isn't it? Or in his mind, what was expressed, at least expressed, we are bringing into our readers without any change. So if the meaning conveyed by a particular item or expression is not vital enough to the development of the text, okay, this is not, the other part is not taking part any role in the meaning, okay. So if you delete, then also there is no meaning change. So translators can often do simply omit translation, the word or expression in the question. Even word, if it is unnecessarily used, you can delete and bring out the translation. There is no harm. You are not deviating from the source text. Okay, now we will see the next slide. Okay, sometimes we will have to, this you might have come across with if you did some translation. There will be a term. For that, we don't have any equivalent. There again, we will have to go for illustration. So illustration, where here you see in this payphone, it's an useful option if the word which lacks an equivalent in the target language refers to a physical entity which can be illustrated. So it is a payphone. We can, the other thing, we can give the term and bracket, or you can explain the term and in bracket you can give the source language term. So if it is a physical, that's the difference between paraphrasing we did and payphone. It is a physical entity, so we can see that one, and we are bringing it into the target language. So physical entity which can be illustrated, particularly if there are restrictions in space and no restriction. It is no restriction. If we, when we will explain that one, there will be more space needed. So if there is no space restriction, you can give the explanation or illustration of a particular term, so that the target language reader will be understanding what the source language, what was explained in the source language. So we will see more examples. Okay, here, collocation. Collocation is this one is a peculiarity of a language where certain terms will come with certain, the tendency of certain words to co-occur. For barsat, I don't know barsna, pani barsna in Hindi. So I don't know whether barsna can occur only with the rain. In Malayalam, we have certain things. To cut, we will use two terms. Okay, these two terms, when you will cut a tree, one will go. I can tell in cut a tree we can use both, but when you will cut a cake, I cannot say that first term for that cake cutting. There also I am cutting. So second term I should use. So this is the co-occurrence of certain words. Only the if you know about this source language, target language, you can understand that one, and you should because the collocations are main points, main theme of a language, because with collocation in newspaper and all, people they play with language with the collocation. If you use a certain term with another term, you will make fun of that. In newspaper you will be getting different type of idiomatic expressions and all, no? So in there they are using this collocation, playing with words, using wrong collocation purposefully to make the fun, like. So you should know about the translator should know about the collocation, co-occurrence of certain terms which will come with semantically arbitrary restrictions which do not follow logically from the prepositional meaning of the word. So, meaning, I will have to give Vettuga and Murkuga to cut, okay, in Malayalam. But I know that this should. So the person who is going to translate, they should use, if they see a term to cut, he cannot write cut a cake with Vettuga. Like, confusing source and target pattern is a pitfall that can easily be avoided once the translator is alerted to the potential influence that the collocational patterning of the source text can have on him or her. That means they should be well versed with the language. That is for sure. Now comes the idiomatic expressions. You know, idiomatic expressions are the difficult part, how to translate. Because in Longman Dictionary, we had idiomatic expressions. So how to bring the idiomatic expressions in our language? So there are few things we can tell about the idioms. When you use an idiom, similar, that means you can translate an idiom. When there is correct equivalent in your language, word for word translation, you will get. For that, you see valam kai, right hand. Right hand is an idiomatic expression where you will, in Malayalam, I can tell valam kai. So I think in Hindi also, baएं हाथ है ना. So that will come. Okay. And sailing in the same boat. Here, using idiom of similar meaning but dissimilar form. Sailing in the same boat, I think we will have to change we cannot express with the same form. In Malayalam, I think there is no sailing in the same boat. We will have the same feather birds or something like that. We will have to change, because we will have to know the meaning and then we will have to give another dissimilar form. We will have the similar meaning but dissimilar, using idiom of similar meaning but dissimilar form. That will be the strategy you should use, because sometimes you will get first one you can replace with similar form, similar meaning. Second one, you will have to change the idiom with dissimilar form, and then you can borrow certain. In Malayalam, most of the terms, from Sanskrit we can take, because we can represent in Malayalam all the words, because we have so many alphabets. So Simhavalokanam and Vihaka Vikshanam are directly taken from Sanskrit. I think is the ending of Malayalam. We changed it with that. Maybe Simhavalokana. Lokana will be Sanskrit, and is the Malayalam. We Malayalize that one. Okay. So that is how borrowing the source language idiom. So this is in idiom. Again, we can do certain things with idiom. And then, yeah, you can paraphrase it. That is, we will be explaining it. This is the most common way of translating idioms when a match cannot found in. So you can see eye to eye. So this is the idiomatic expression, and the meaning is to agree with someone completely. The sentence given in the dictionary was, "My father and I have never seen eye to eye." So by translating that one, see eye to eye, if I am translating word by word, it won't give any meaning. So we will have to translate with the meaning, to agree with someone completely. That only is the possibility. So here we are paraphrasing, but paraphrasing, we will lose the idiom in the target language. We cannot bring out. The paraphrasing is the only thing which can bring out the meaning. So the strategy used for translating idiom here is, we will have to paraphrase it. When it seems inappropriate to use idiomatic language in the target text because of differences in stylistic preferences of the source and target languages. So you see eye to eye, if you try to translate word by word, it will give some other meaning, but not the idiomatic meaning given in the English text or target text. So this is how we will translate idioms. And one more thing, you see, here is another idiom where get on someone's nerves. So that means to make them someone annoyed. Here we cannot, the nerve, get on someone's nerves. I think it is not possible to translate in, we will have to, again we will have to bring the meaning, paraphrase it and give the meaning only. Same way, you getting on my nerves, the meaning. So the loud music is really getting on my nerves. This is the sentence which we will have to translate in the dictionary. The loud music is really getting on my nerves. So in Malayalam, it is given. I think we cannot translate here, or we cannot bring an idiom here. We will have to give the meaning of that one. So this is for idiom. I think one more. Yeah, here you see. Here for grow. The idiomatic, grow out of something. So to become too big or too old for something. So my daughter's grown out of all her dresses. So these are the idioms, you just for example, I am showing it. So you may, how you can solve that one. These are the general things, general strategy which we used in the dictionary to overcome the problem. Okay, consciously we did this one. And previously I showed you a slide where the grammatical categories of the prepositions, grammatical categories were given, and we will have to give the equivalent for that. So retaining grammatical category of the head entry, Longman Bilingual Dictionary. So here preposition markers I showed you. There what happened is, we will have to change, replaced the case markers, replaced it with the case marker. Preposition of, we will have to, and to, in, everything we replaced with case marker. That is not our language. Grammatically it is different. Structure of our language is different from the other. In the sentence level, one can find grammatical category shift. So this happens when you cannot keep the grammatical. So when you do a text translation, we are not bothered about such things. But when you do a bilingual dictionary, we will have to think about such things. That's why their adjective to noun, adverb, verb, and to verbal constructions, this change, noun to adverb or verb and verbal constructions. This type of change you can find in the bilingual dictionary, which knowingly we did to overcome the translation problem. You can treat it as translation problem because this is a language which is, if two languages are very near languages, then you can easily translate from one to other. But when we are translating from far off languages, automatically the structure of each language will be different. So we will have to bring out so many adjustments. Okay. This is what happens with small unit when you are doing bilingual dictionary. That's why I wanted to cover bilingual dictionary. This is the smaller unit, how we are overcoming the hurdles. And in pamphlet next level, pamphlet is a you can tell it is a scientific translation, and in that you will get technical and science text. So in technical text you can take the pamphlet and all, because pamphlet it is more technical. Science we are bringing it into in a technological level, so that is different. And then text you will see literary novels and drama, so poetry, how we are differing. And I think with this we can, so by this discussion we will come to a conclusion that the cultural and syntactic peculiarity of a language, I think you will agree, the cultural and syntactic peculiarity of a language is bringing foreignness to the language. Expressing this foreignness in another language is not impossible. That means everything we can translate, because if you can understand something, why can't you translate? We can translate. Expressing foreignness in another language is not impossible, but while breaking the barriers, we will have to break the barriers. So barriers, one will have to make some reshuffling and reordering. Reordering, that's what you might have seen that one, how we are reshuffling and reordering. Better understanding of this foreignness will pave way for a better translation. I think with this, I will close this one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we can begin with our QA session. Madam, you have enlightened us on various translation strategies which we need to follow. I am confident that your session will help all the translators while translating text, especially with reference to cultural translations. There is a question, Madam. You said that translators should use common words or terms which a common man understands. But it so happens that sometimes the translator is well versed with the English word, for instance, autism. So a translator, a common man knows this term. But sometimes it happens that the common man doesn't know what it means in Konkani or Marathi or Hindi. So what a translator should do while translating a text from English to any regional language?
Hello. Actually, for this, what I told is you will have to, if you can domesticate it, it will be more reader oriented. As you told in Malayalam also, same problem. When you use an English term, that will be very familiar. But then how you will bring your mother tongue term there? So we will have to familiarize a term. Now, for example, now we are getting, when the pandemic came, people are comfortable with sanitizer. These terms, I think so many terms came, quarantine, all the terms, even if it is so difficult, it came to our language. Nobody thought about changing the language because pandemic will go and come. So we will get more terms. For certain things, we will have to have our own language term. I think for Tamil, maybe, I am not sure about autism, but most of the terms they are having, we can at least introduce it. If we are not introducing it, how we will enrich our language? This autism, I am for sure, yeah, even Malayalis won't understand if I am translating it. But you can give the explanation saying that this is autism. So people will, autism itself is sometimes they won't understand what is autism because the term is not conveying any meaning. But in our language, if you can create a word which will convey the term itself, or you can make such a term, there is no effort happening. That's what I am telling. There is not such effort happening. It should happen. If it is happening, then we will tell it is equally easy like English, isn't it? And we are making a term. The main problem is the terminological hurdle. So if you can make a good term, why can't we make? If our language is rich, why can't we make? Isn't it? So that we will have to try like that. That's my suggestion for that.
Okay. Thank you, madam. So I feel the best way dealing with this is introduce the term in regional language, and also maybe in bracket you can provide the source text over there, and
Yes,
along with its explanation if
yes,
possible.
yes.
Okay. Madam, there is another question. A translator faces this problem a lot of times, especially when translating poems or slogans, because it follows a particular rhyme pattern. So, is it proper, or is it appropriate if a translator completely changes the scheme pattern or the structure of a sentence or poetry? Or would you like to suggest any best way while translating such text?
Actually, here the problem is you can translate a term from another term. In poetry, what is happening is you are getting the form will also give the meaning, and rhyming will come with the form. So you cannot reproduce it in the same way in our language. That is, poetry is losing there because rhyming thing, you cannot bring the same words here. Some poems will start with alphabetically and all. How we will bring? We cannot. In that case, we will have to bring out the bring out the text in such a manner that the content should come, and you can make use of your own language poetry style. That only. You cannot bring out the target language poetry with rhymes and all in our language. It is impossible. That's why we previously told that's how we are telling poetry is untranslatable. But poetry can translate by losing the poetry, isn't it? You will lose the poetry when you will translate, but you can bring out another poetry in your language. That's what I think.
Okay. Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am. These were the two questions by our audience. Now I request you, madam, if you have any final comments before we wind up with our session, today's session.
Actually, the things which I presented in front of you is from my own experience, which we faced with when we are translating and all. So you can have a different strategy used. Each literature, what strategy is using. So that's why previously I told about the division of translation. In each, you can make the strategies, and you can bring out a big session for that. And thank you so much for inviting me and giving me an opportunity for that. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. It was indeed an enlightening session by you. Tomorrow, on 27th of August, we have a session by Chief Resource Person of National Translation Mission, Mysuru, by Dr. Pratipati Matthew. The topic of the session is Translation Studies as a Discipline, the Terminology. Now I request आमच्या खात्याची LDC श्रीमती कासार हांच्याकडे मागता तांणी उपकाराचे उलोवप करचें.
Good afternoon all. On the second day of this 8 days lecture series on translation skill webinar, on behalf of Directorate of Official Language, I would like to thank Government of Goa, Minister of Official Language, Secretary of Official Language for their approval to organize this webinar. We are very much grateful to National Translation Mission Central Institute of Indian Languages, all the academic faculty of staff of NTM-CIIL, Mysuru. Also thankful to the director, assistant director, senior translator, technical and administrative staff of official language. We express our special gratitude to today's speaker, Dr. Geetha Kumary V, Chief Resource Person, National Translation Mission Mysuru, to take time from our busy schedule to grace the event by unfolding various translation strategies with a wide experience which is not only beneficial to the language stream but society as a whole. Thank you very much, madam. We are grateful and appreciate the work of live streaming host Palas Abhinav Studios, print and electronic media, the government employees, teachers, translators, students, and all the language admirers. सगळ्यांना बरेच